Hey there, I'm Dr. Vlad. I'm a general pediatrician specializing in autism for children. And today we're going to talk about something that can be a little bit intimidating for families, but it's so important, especially if you're a parent or caregiver involved in special education. We're going to break down some of the buzzwords you might hear when it comes to IEPs. Now, IEP stands for Individualized Education Program, and it's basically a roadmap for a child's special education journey. But like any specialized field, special education has its own language, right? And sometimes it can feel like you're trying to decipher a whole other code. We need to get that Rosetta Stone for the IEP terms brought out so we could translate exactly what it is they're trying to say about our kids. So my goal today is to help you feel more comfortable and confident when you're in that IEP meeting or reading through documents. Lots and lots of pages of documents. So think of this as your friendly guide to understanding the lingo. We'll go through some of the most common terms and what they really mean. All right, let's dive in. And here are some of the key terms and abbreviations you might encounter. The 504 plan. You'll often hear this alongside IEP. A 504 plan is a blueprint for supporting a student with a disability by removing barriers. It's all about giving the student equal access to learning in the general education classroom. Now, here's a key difference. Students with 504 plans tend not to need specialized education instruction, so they don't even need necessarily an IEP plan to receive a 504 plan. Accommodation. This is a big one. An accommodation means a change to or in a student's learning environment. Accommodations help students learn and show what they've learned by removing barriers. A classic example is giving a student with learning differences extra time to take a test. It's important to remember that even with accommodations, students are expected to learn at the same content as their peers. Next, we hear about annual goals. The IEP document outlines the academic and functional everyday skills that the IEP team believes the student can achieve by the end of the school year. These goals are designed to help students participate in the general education curriculum. And here's a tip. IEP goals need to be realistic and measurable. Many schools use something called SMART goals. S-M-A-R-T. SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, results-oriented, and time-bound. They have a start time and a stop time when we measure the results. Another term you may hear on an IEP or see on an IEP is assistive technology. This is any device, equipment, or software that helps students learn, communicate, and function better in school. Assistive technology can range from simple things like highlighters to more complex tools like apps that read text out loud. Next, we have the Behavior Intervention Plan, which is abbreviated as BIP. A behavior intervention plan is a plan designed to proactively teach and reinforce positive behaviors. It typically uses strategies to prevent and address behaviors that will interfere a child from learning. It may include supports and aids for the students. Often, a behavior intervention plan is included as part of an IEP. To get a behavior intervention plan, a student first needs to have a functional behavioral assessment. The other word that you may see on an IEP is disability. In the legal sense, a disability is a condition recognized by law. To qualify for an IEP, students must have a disability that falls under one of the 13 categories listed in the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. Common categories include specific learning disability, such as reading or math, other health impairments, and speech or language impairment. Due process is a formal process for resolving disputes about special education and IEPs. but it's not the only option. There are other ways to resolve disagreements, such as mediation or filing a state complaint. Extended school year services. These are special education services provided outside of the regular school year, like during the summer or extended breaks. Some students will regress and have problems keeping up with their acquired new skills and learned information during the school year that may regress over the summer. So, having an extended school year service in place allows them to maintain their gains and not fall back during extended breaks. General education curriculum. This is the knowledge and skills that all students throughout a state are expected to learn. And this can vary from one state to another. Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA. IDEA is the nation's special education law. It's a federal law that guarantees all students with disabilities access to a free and appropriate public education. The least restrictive environment. Students with disabilities must be taught in the least restrictive environment. This means they should be taught as much as possible in the same setting as students who don't have disabilities. In most cases, schools must offer services and supports to help students with an IEP succeed in a general education classroom. For some students, the least restricted environment in which they are able to make progress is not a general education classroom, and that's fine. The goal is to have students receive enough support to make progress, but not more support or more restrictions than is necessary for them to progress. Modification. A modification is a change in what a student is expected to learn and demonstrate. For example, a student with a modification might be asked to write a shorter essay than their peers. Remember, modifications are different from accommodations. Parent report. This is a letter that families write to document their child's strengths, struggles, and success at school, at home, and in the community. Sharing this report with the IEP team gives them a more complete picture of the student. Positive behavior interventions and supports. PBIS is a proactive school-wide approach to promote positive behavior and improve school safety. PBIS helps create a school culture where all students learn about behavior and use a common language to discuss it. Progress reporting. This is how a school reports on a student's progress towards their annual goals. This reporting is specified in the IEP and needs to be provided as often as progress reports are given to general education students. Present level of performance. This is a description of a student's current abilities, skills, challenges, and strengths when the IEP is written. It describes both academic skills and functional skills. This is the starting point for setting those annual IEP goals that we talked about earlier. Related services. These are any support services that a student needs to benefit from special education. Examples include things like transportation or occupational therapy or speech therapy. Response to intervention. Response to intervention is a systematic way of identifying struggling students and provide extra help. Teachers assess all students to see who needs intervention. Progress is monitored frequently to ensure students are getting the right support. Standards-based IEP. A standard-based IEP measures a student's academic performance against what the state expects of other students in the same grade. Special education. This is specially designed instruction to meet the unique needs of a student. It's designed to give access to the general education curriculum and is provided at no cost to families. Supplementary aids and services. These are supports to help students learn in the general education classroom. They can include equipment, assistive technology, or training for staff members to help them work with students with specific needs. Transition plan. This part of the IEP outlines what a team will learn and do in high school to prepare them for success as a young adult. The IEP team and the student develop this plan together, and it usually starts around age 16. The plan includes academic and functional goals, as well as practical life skills and job training. Whew, that was a lot, right? But hopefully this breakdown has helped you feel a little less overwhelmed by all the jargon. My advice is to keep this list handy, and you can always come back to this video if you need a refresher. And remember, you have the right to ask questions and make sure you understand everything in your child's IEP. If you found this helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share with anyone who could benefit. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to advocating your child's education. You've got this. Navigate autism with confidence. For parents living in New York State, please contact my office at 917-819-5056. Once again, it's 917-819-5056 to begin your child's custom-tailored developmental journey today. Thank you. Bye-bye.